Welcome back to the Garth Riley Show. Good to have you with us. Today we're talking about the family court issues, what your story is. Perhaps one person's story can encourage another that may be going through the process. And listen, it's not easy. No matter what we talk about on these shows, is that it seems to be somewhat of an unpredictable relationship. Joining me today on the show, we'll just call her by her first name, is Karie. Karie has actually had an experience. We're going to talk about it from a few perspectives. One is that she was common law, and from the age of 18 till around 36, I believe,
yes.
and was part of a business that was being built, and a family business that was doing. Your husband had a business, and you found out that at the end of this, you have nothing. You have rights to nothing.
Yes, the common law rules changed a few years ago, and everybody still tells me, "Oh, but aren't you automatically the same as a married couple?" And you find out very quickly that you are not. First of all, our family home, which would have been called the matrimonial home had we been married, but it's called the family home because we're common law. He's on title, I am not. So he has the right after 18 years to kick me out the front door and say, get out of my house.
And the car?
And I had a car, but it was in his name, so he said, don't take my car. And if I took it, I would have been stealing his property. When you're common law, all property in your name is yours, unless you prove otherwise. So it has to go through the system.
So you ended up with nothing. Basically,
I actually walked out with the clothes on my back. About 2 months after I left, he offered me $5,000 because he felt he was being taken advantage of, having to drive the children everywhere. I drove them everywhere for 15 years, but he was being taken advantage of because I no longer had a vehicle. So he decided to give me $5,000 to get a vehicle. He thought that I would go buy a beater, and my sister loaned me another $8, and I got a brand new vehicle, which really made him angry. But I wanted the 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty because I thought if I buy a broken down car and it breaks down, then I'm back where I started. I can't fix it. I had no other money. So I actually got a good car and showed up at his house in my little Kia. And he was so angry, like, how dare you buy a new car? And I said, well, how dare I buy an old beat-up car that's going to fall apart? How am I? I'll end up walking again in a week, right?
So what happened was, in this case here, so you have this scenario, and the first part of the story is common law. Big surprise, anybody who's watching this right now, if you're in a common law relationship and there's things that are not in your name, you are SOL.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you produce something called a constructive trust.
Yes, you have to have a constructive trust claim in the court. And what you have to do is...
This is if you go to court.
If you go to court.
And all of a sudden you say, well, I did have contribution to this. You have to create a constructive trust, which is what?
It is a list of everything that you did to contribute to the relationship, to the homes, to the property, to the family in the time that you spent there, so that they can decide whether or not you have any entitlement to the property that's in the other person's name.
And who gets to decide this?
In the end, it's a judge. Most people don't get to court. Apparently 5% of family law cases are settled before they get to trial, but my case is going to trial. They've expedited it because my ex will not cooperate with the courts.
All right, we're going to go off to break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about, in this case, when your ex or your ex-common law partner is self-employed, when the courts order undertakings and to understand their true assets, there's a big issue. So we'll be right back with more of this story and how you may be able to learn from it when we return right after this.